Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of CBSE, I welcome you all to this wonderful initiative by CBSE in collaboration with CDAC, both institutions of repute who have joined hands to give this wonderful opportunity for learning on how to conduct lab activities in science and math subjects in this pandemic time when face-to-face interaction and activities have become almost impossible. This OLab is a platform which is jointly developed by Ministry of Electronics and Telecommunication, CDAC and Amrita University to give virtual classes of CBSE aligned, syllabus aligned experiments for classes 9 to 12. Today's session is for mathematics. I welcome at this. Take this opportunity to welcome Mr. M. Sasikumar, who is the Associate Director, CDAC Mumbai, and who has been with CDAC Mumbai since 2013, and he has been working in various projects like e-learning, accessibility projects, etc. And he has over 20 years of experience with focus on research and development of a number of projects in areas such as e-resources, e-scheduling, e-learning. I also welcome Dr. Biswajit Saha, who is the Director Training and Skill Education, who has, before this, he has worked as Associate Professor in Tripura Institute of Technology for 10 years, and also as Officer on Special Duty with the Technical Education Department of Tripura. He, having acquired his ME degree from Jadavpur University and doctorate in Computer Science and Engineering from School of Science and Technology, he is an inspiration for all of us in the unit of Training and Skill Education, CBSE. Now I invite Dr. Saha to address the group and welcome the guests.
Namaskar. Dr. Shashi Kumar from CDEC and his team from CDEC Mumbai, and all the participant teachers, my colleague from CBSE. So first of all, welcome to the virtual platform. I think the initiative taken by CDEC a long back with the help of Ministry of Electronics and IT and of course Amrita University has created this platform for the school, especially for the teacher and student. So I think that was a visionary step. And today, during this pandemic times, we are realizing how effective decisions they have taken long back. So considering all these aspects, I believe both the school as well as especially the parents are now facing a tremendous crisis with respect to the practical based subjects, be it physics, chemistry, maths, bio, and in fact the project based component of other humanities subjects also. So here, CDEC, of course, has limited their role with respect to all science-based subject and to some extent that English. So that way, it's a great platform, and I personally use it. Already used that platform for my daughter, and rather I have seen that beauty of that platform is that the one can rather re-energize and those the practical days in physics lab or chemistry lab, be it in college or school. So it is phenomenally actually student requirement are being addressed by this platform. But at the same time, teachers must use it because maybe after some time that pandemic situations will get over, and as the optimistic persons I believe the things will be normal and all those physical activities in the classroom you can start. But believe me, now it's the time to decide and structure what component you are going to teach in the physical classroom, what component you are going to teach in a online mode, and online both practical and theory, how you can manage that routine you need to create. So my humble request to all the teachers, those who are participating here today, to look into the various dynamics and of this platform and try to understand, and of course the resource persons and including the associate director, they are going to guide all of us what way the best use case we can create, and so that ultimately the student, they comes to the tinkering space. They need to understand that practical applicability with respect to this platform as well as on their own what they can create. So the first initiation is, of course, it will start with you, and I am not going to take much time. Rather, I request Dr. Shashi Kumar to address, and I believe I'm confident at this pandemic times. Uh, First of all, let me compliment all the teachers because at the time they're managing the online class, and they are addressing the queries of the student and parents offline, and same time they are also attending multiple teachers training program offered by CBSE or other organizations, and they are very enthusiastic. So I think that productive time they are using, it's a really a tremendous effort for learning. So altogether, that spirit we need to keep up as a learner, not as a teacher. So thank you very much. Over to Dr. Shashi because CDEC has agreed with the CBSE's request because they have already trained a good number of teachers, CBSE school teacher, both in science, maths, English, and with specialization with physics, chem, and bio. But at the same time, those to polish the skill and those who have not attended our earlier program, I think it is the time to encash that opportunity. Try to be interactive, and of course, you need to understand the protocol of digital classroom. You know it, so I don't want to mention anything, but use maximum, try to use that chat box as maximum is possible. And if there is any specific query, we can address it later on. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Saha, and it's very happy to address all of you. And we have been working with the CBSE on this project for a long time. I'll tell you a little more about the project and what we have been doing once I start my presentation. But so what we have done this time is to make 4 instances of this presentation, focusing on different subjects, so that there is a little more connect, and you are able to connect to most of the presentation comfortably. Okay. So with that, Kavit, let me start my presentation. Okay, I hope everybody can see the slide. It says OLabs, School Labs Online.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, fine. Okay. So this is, I think, as Dr. Saha mentioned, this is a joint initiative between Amrita Vishwavidyapeetham and SIDAC Mumbai to build up virtual labs for schools. And we started this journey as early as 2010. It is about 10 years now. We put up this proposal to the ministry saying that we want to build virtual labs, and then there was concerns about what use will it be, how will it get used. So they said, okay, you try a phase 1 and build 20 labs or so. Let's see how it goes, and let's see what is the reaction, and then we can go further. And with that 20 labs, we approached the CBSE chairman, Dr. Vineet Joshi, at that time. He was very excited. He actually issued a circular to all the schools saying that even this 20 labs, you can start using it. So the ministry was more than happy to take the lead and driven the project further. So I'll tell you more about it in my presentation. Okay, so this is a project on online labs, which is, and we nickname it OLabs, for school experiments, and the rest of it I think I already told you. So the target with which we started this project was for CBSE schools, teachers and students, because we needed to make sure that the syllabus is aligned, and as I will tell you more about it a little later. So it is not just building some simulations and leaving it online for you to pick it up. We have actually built a complete ecosystem. So therefore, the syllabus alignment was very important. So we chose CBSE as a national platform to do this alignment. And now we are also looking at maybe many states are also interested in adopting it. So we are looking at those options. So currently, we support physics, chemistry, biology, mathematics, and some labs on English. Focusing on classes 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so subsequent workshops will actually look at physics, chemistry, and biology. And this session, we will be looking mostly at mathematics. But that maths part is only towards the end of this program. I will tell you more about what OLabs is, how to use it, what are the challenges, and all that things in the first part. And then we'll walk you through 3 or 4 labs online, so that you get a feel of what is there in it and what kind of support is available there. And I mentioned that from 2010, we started this journey through multiple phases. So I think today, I don't think anybody will ask why are we doing OLabs, because I think everybody already know the critical situation that all the schools are going through. Even if the school has very good lab facilities, everything is available in the school, you still not in a position to go and access the labs. But go back 1 year earlier, there are many schools who doesn't even have anything called a lab, and even if there is a lab available, there are severe restrictions there. So school education in India that way has been facing many challenges. A lot of work is being done to address them over the years. So a lack of infrastructure, I mean, this could be including classrooms and things like that. But most important for us at this point is the laboratories, where the students can go and do these practical sessions. We also have a shortage of trained teachers, and as a net result of all this, students come up with more theoretical knowledge. So if we ask them to, define Hooke's law or Newton's third law, they'll possibly be able to, say it out. But understanding what it means and applying it in practice is something that many of them would have problems. So laboratory is a key component of particularly all the science subjects. And in other subjects, we usually call them activities or whatever. So in maths, we have taken this activity definition of lab and built a bunch of activities to facilitate the student to understand the concepts and the relationship between various concepts on area, volume, and the things like that. Okay. I already mentioned that the problems with physical labs, there is usually very limited infrastructure. So there is only one physics lab in a school, and all the classes are 8, 9, 10, all take turns in about 1 hour a week to go to the lab. And there is no way to introduce the lab to the students before they go to the lab. So most of the time, I remember in my school days, we go to the lab without even knowing what to expect, what is going to be there. So the teacher will say, take this, put this thing, do this, do this, do this. And mechanically we do all this and, fill up some readings and come out. And you have no idea what actually happened and what were you supposed to be observing and what are the, lessons learned and so on. So limited infrastructure, I think, is a problem across all the schools for multiple reasons, right? So for example, if it is a chemistry lab, expensive, so you can't stock infinite supply for everybody to play around with it, so there is a limitation. If it is physics lab, there are all the instruments that are used for the laboratory also are limited, so you have to take turns. You only half an hour, 45 minutes with one set of instruments before you move on to move out of the lab for making way for the other people. The lab sessions, and if you don't have a lab at all in your school, the lab session basically disappears. And if you have a good lab and facilities, you have this limited lab access that is provided. And on top of it, you also have safety constraints. So some of the experiments may lead to fire, electric hazards, and things like that. The equipments are fragile. Particularly it's just like a chemistry lab or advanced equipments like measuring the focal length of a lens and you drop the lens, whatever. So the damages of two equipments and the fragility of the equipments are also concerns to restrict the lab time. So and also once you do practical activities like a lab, you actually start thinking and applying the concept, trying to relate to what you are seeing on the screen or on the equipment to what you have learned from elsewhere. So this lack of this would mean inadequate higher order thinking skills. That is something that everybody has been talking about for many years. That a lot of mugging up or remembering is happening, but higher levels of Bloom's taxonomy are not addressed in our exam system or in our lab activities. Assessing whether a lab experiment has been conducted properly and whether it is understood is also difficult. So you have usually a logbook, so you have to put down the readings that you got. So I think in our times, etc., you'll say that if your reading is not proper, you copy it from your neighbor, or you could generate some numbers. So somehow you meet the requirements to complete these activities. Okay, so all of these are challenges. Of course, by building some virtual labs, you're not going to overcome all of this. But I think there is some contribution we can do in many aspects of virtual labs, and that's what we are trying to do here. So technology can expand the boundaries of a physical lab. And as I mentioned, if there is no physical lab at all, obviously there is a big world that is being opened up because of the technology. At least you have a sense of how to work with Hooke's law by suspending weights on a spring, measuring the length and looking at what is happening, or let's say the burning of magnesium and the kind of image that is the spectacle that actually comes from there. So all of this are things that is experienceable even without physical lab, right? And events which are occurring in a large or small time windows can be simulated. So, for example, if you want to demonstrate the life cycle of a mosquito, you will take many days to actually walk it through in the real life scenario. But in a virtual lab, I can actually simulate it in seconds or minutes or hours as you would need. And I can simulate in as much detail or as less detail as you would like. So it becomes amenable to demonstrate, to talk about it, to perform activities there. Invisible objects can be made visible. So if you look at things like magnetic field intensity, gravity, these are all things that you sense and measure through other activities. Like if you drop a ball and the speed with which it touches ground is a measure of gravity. Similarly, magnetic field intensity, you spread ion filings and see what is the intensity of the magnetic field. These are things that is not visible, but with virtualization, with things like this, you can actually make them visible. You can even simulate lines with the thickness and the direction to indicate field directions, which is not possible in a physical lab. Things which are impossible to perform in real lab, like what if I want to look at how will this pendulum behave in Jupiter or Mars or inside the Earth or in the outer atmosphere. You can do that whenever simulating it. These are impossible to do in any physical lab. So on top of so these kind of possibilities, which is amplifying what you can actually achieve in a physical lab, this offers tremendous scope for open-based learning and to account for varying learner profiles. When I'm going online and I'm going to the lab site and doing my activity, I am not constrained by a physical 1 hour duration or a particular classroom schedule. I can go and access it, spend as little or as much time as I want online that suits my requirement. Right. So there is a lot of benefits that you get out of doing something like this. So while with all these things, you might feel that why do I need physical labs? Am I advocating that we get rid of physical labs? Of course not. I mean, as my chemistry teacher used to tell me in the school, if you don't break a couple of test tubes in the lab, you don't have a sense of chemistry at all. Now, in virtual labs, we are not allowing you to break test tubes or throw acid on your friend or whatever those kind of experiences are obviously not included there. So we look at virtual labs as augmenting or amplifying the physical labs, right? So if you don't have physical labs, fine. At least you get a sense of what the lab of activities you do, what kind of readings do you get, how do you do things like that. If you have physical lab, you can prefix virtual labs to physical labs and postfix it to physical labs, that it actually helps to amplify them. So I'll talk about more use cases a little later on, and I will elaborate these active learning strategies that you can do with these labs. So virtual labs address deficiencies of physical labs. So for example, if you want to conduct an
excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, can you switch off your video? I think that will save some bandwidth.
Okay.
There is some lag. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So right. So if you're doing experiment and you didn't understand it, you want to try it again. In a physical lab, usually that is not possible, right? Here you can try any of these labs an infinite number of times without any cost involved. So you're not blowing up any raw material. You are not blocking up somebody else's chance on the lab, and you have no time constraints there. So it's a great leveler for the slow learner, fast learner, those who are already familiar with the concept, those who are not familiar, all of them get good opportunities in the online world. It provides the ease and convenience of conducting experiments over the internet, and also bridges the constraints of geographical distances and time. So it doesn't matter which part of the world or country that you are, you can get access to these resources. So as of now, we have 173 experiments are available or activities are available on OLAP's system. 54 physics, chemistry, biology, mathematics, and English. English is class invariant, so they are more about usage of tense, prepositions, and all that. So as required, it can be used. And the others are based on CBSE curriculum. So they cover classes 9 to 12. For mathematics, we are doing basically classes 9 and 10 only. Okay, and they are also available in these languages: Hindi, English, Malayalam, and Marathi. So, and also we are encouraging other boards to convert it into other languages as well. So these is the resources available. They are freely accessible on the portal. You can log in and access them, and without any payment or any platform dependency. So the salient features. They are interactive simulations with real-world behavior. So they are not animations in most cases, right? Only 1 or 2 cases where you cannot actually simulate it. You would have put animations. All other cases, they are simulations. They are interactive. So when you do, let's say, Hooke's law, or when you are doing a mathematical, let's say, I mean, the example that I'm going to show you at the end, if you want to know, for a triangle, the bisectors, where do they intersect, or where is the centroid of the triangle, you can actually create your own triangle, acute triangle, obtuse triangle, right triangle, whatever way you want. You can choose random points, make a triangle, get the midpoints, connect them, and see where these meet, or where the centroid is formed. Right. So it is not some animations where you will just watch something, but you are the player. You will actually have to do these activities on the online. The students can explore, conduct, and repeat at their own pace. So if you think that, okay, for acute angle, I can understand that the centroid is in between, but for a right angle, will it be on the hypotenuse, or is it inside, or is it outside? So let me try, right? So you create a right angle triangle and see what happens there. So I talked about ecosystem. So one part of the ecosystem is that it has features such as recording observations, plotting graphs, calculations. So where you collect readings from multiple iterations, there is a sheet given to you to actually fill these readings online. And with these readings, you can actually plot a graph, you can report the calculations, and so on. So you don't have to go out of the OLAP framework to complete all the activities that required for this activity, right? And all these experiments are aligned to CBSE curriculum, because one of the problems that we found when we were talking to teachers is that, if I want to adopt it in my class, then it must follow the language, the terminology, the methodology that is advocated as per the curriculum. So we have made a specific effort to make sure that these are aligned and they are exactly as per the CBSE curriculum. Okay, so as I said, it's available for free web-based access. And when we were talking to schools for adoption and training, many have said that, well, we cannot allow students to go online and connect to the web just as they require. So we created a complete offline version of this OLAP system, and we have been giving it away to all the schools wherever we have been conducting training programs. Today, of course, with COVID, as I said, the world is very different. We are living in a new normal. So people are more comfortable accessing the online version than the offline version. So we're finding a very heavy traffic on the site, and we are expanding the capabilities of the system to accommodate more users. So the other part of the ecosystem is that we don't want to leave it as just creating a simulation which you can play around with it. So once you go to the ONLabs portal, you have this structure that I have shown here at the bottom for the bell jar experiment. So there is a theory tab, which is basically based on your textbook and what you have learned in the class. So this provides a conceptual background, but it is not very elaborate. So the idea is it can act as a refresher. It will refresh your mind about what are the key concepts there, what are the related laws or proofs or principles that is applicable to that particular lab activity. Okay. So then there is a procedure tag. The procedure tab talks about how to do this activity. Again, we have included how this activity will be done in the normal physical lab and also in the online lab environment. Okay, so both these models are there, so you can also compare and how the two things actually are differing. We are trying to make sure that the online experience is as close or as much as compatible as the physical lab experience. And we have an animation mode, which is primarily meant for the teachers to demonstrate the activity in the class. So it allows you to pause it at some point. It's more like a video show, and there are help available at every point so that you can actually explain to the students what is going on and how to do the activity. The simulation is obviously the core of online labs. And so here we expect that the student will go to the simulation mode, and start to perform the activity, as per the requirements outlined for the lab. So here also help is available, but only when you ask for it, because otherwise you are supposed to know what you are supposed to do, and all the options otherwise are available. We also have a Viva set of questions which you can ask the student, or you can do it for self-assessment once you've gone through the lab to know whether you have actually understood the concepts related to the lab. So it is this ecosystem and the comprehensiveness that I talked about by providing a table for recording observations, a graph for plotting graph. This comprehensive ecosystem is what makes OLABS unique, because it's a self-contained, complete environment for the labs. We were obviously concerned about the teachers accepting and the correctness of the content, because we are technical people. So how do we know whether the biology content is right, whether the physics equations that we are using are correctly interpreted? So all the labs in the system have been reviewed by CBSE nominated teachers and certified that they are okay. Okay, so these are some review reports from the CBSE report. So we approached the CBSE at that time. They appointed dedicated teachers who spent time going through the entire content and has agreed that these are as per their requirement. So how do we use OLABS in your school? I think for teachers, there are various use cases that are possible. So the minimum expectation is that you will use this lab to before you go to the physical lab to prepare the students. So you can actually open OLABS in your classroom, show what is the setup that is there in the physical lab. Yeah. Hello. Okay, I hope everything is okay. So what are the hello? Okay, so what are the what is the setup in the actual physical lab? What are the different instruments or devices that you're going to see? And you can actually show how that activity is performed in the lab, and then send the students to the physical lab. Because now they are mentally oriented, they have some idea about what to expect, what activities they are supposed to perform, what these instruments look like. All these are kind of mentally prepared, and then the limited time that they spend in the physical lab can actually be now very productive. After the lab, again, you can use the virtual labs or labs to reflect on the activities performed. So if you did, let's say, a mass triangle, now the teacher can actually draw another triangle and then ask the student, where do you think the centroid will be, for example, right? Or you can ask, where will these lines intersect? So these kind of become more reflective activities to deepen what you did in the lab. So looking at OLABS as a prefix to your physical lab and a postfix to your physical lab is possibly the best way to make use of it. As I said, we don't want to replace physical lab. But we will be better prepared to understand what happens in the physical lab and to appreciate what is going on there. And to deepen the whatever learning is there, the post physical lab activity will help us. Now, if you don't have physical lab, at least you can now allow the student to show it the student in the class and allow the student to perform the lab activities in the classroom or at home. And so they can at least come back and discuss with you whether whatever questions or doubts they might have. And so you can also get involved, get better results by ensuring the students are involved. So when you're doing the lab activity, you can, for example, draw a triangle and say, if I draw a line from the let's say a perpendicular bisector of a line, you can ask where would it go? Whether will it touch the opposite vertex or not? So by asking them the questions and involving them, you can actually get their buy-in much better. They also will be more attentive. So these are things that I'm sure as teachers you are familiar with. So virtual labs allow you to do these kind of activities very effectively because of the visual support that you are able to get. You can also bring in other active learning strategies to get more discussion in the environment, because now the student can actually do the lab at their house or at their own pace. You don't have to necessarily look at only the lab time to do that. So you can now use the time to think broader and look at extreme cases, look at boundary conditions and things like that also. And you can also give homework. You can ask them to perform this activity and make an observation and then come back. So that's also things that you can do. And self-evaluation using Viva was I already mentioned earlier. So this is basically detailing out that. So in the step 1, you do observe, where you show the animation, you pause it, and then you ask the student, what do you think is going to happen next, right? So when you put let's say a lens and move it this way, do you think the image will get more blurred or it will get sharper, right? So you can ask questions like that, and then you actually move the lens and see whether it is becoming sharper or not, and correct the misconceptions or lack of understanding that may be involved there. And then you can resume the discussion and continue with your class also. So this is one way of bringing the lab into the classroom to augment your teaching learning process as well. Okay, so for teachers, you can, as I said, explain the labs before performing the practical lab. You can use it to explain the procedure. You can demonstrate a particular phenomena. So we all talk about the burning of magnesium and the spectacle that it actually brings up. So you can now actually go to the lab, perform the burning of magnesium, and show them that what we are talking about. You can use it to set expectation about a lab, and you can also frame review questions with the lab as the backdrop after the lab session. And I mean, you teachers are very creative. There is so much of wonderful things that you do. So I'm sure you will find your own interesting ways of using all labs in your school and curriculum. For the students, with or without teachers, also you can look at it. So you can encourage your students to go online and actually practice these labs. So again, you can familiarize with the lab before the physical lab session. You can try variations which are available, which you may not necessarily be able to do in your physical lab. You can use this as a revision before the exam, before their reviews, and also to reinforce concepts or answer questions that they might have. So both the students and the teachers. Of course, even parents also can play a role. Okay, but then we're not assuming that they know about these topics or they don't know about the topic. So they can at least encourage students to do these activities online and benefit from these resources. So over the years, OLABS has been growing quite a lot. As I mentioned, we have been giving away DVDs for offline usage to all the schools. So very few people used to come to the portal. But over the last 6 months, we find that the portal usage is quite high. As of now, we have about 3 lakh users who have registered on the portal, although registration is not mandatory for using this. And as Dr. Saha mentioned in the beginning, we have touched about 40,000 teachers across India on training them and under the ministry support. We about 11,000 schools of including some of the state board schools have been touched in the process. And over the last 3-4 months at Mumbai, we have been conducting online classes for OLABS continuously, almost on every day, and there is a good response there as well. So this is the state-wise count of what we have been doing in terms of training. Because unless you make the teachers aware, not many people are actually going to the net, go and explore these things and find out these things are there and then share it with others, right? So the ministry said that, at this first level, we should actually go ahead and, build a lot of training programs. So that was another major project which we are just coming to the end of. So where we targeted to train 30,000 teachers across all the CBSE schools. And so you can see that almost every state in the country has been touched to a pretty decent extent. And there are variations because some schools have not been very responsive at that time because of whatever reasons. But I think now those barriers are breaking down. With NCRT, we did a webinar a couple of months back, and that was also quite well attended on OLABS. And these are the links that you should remember. You can access these slides as well as the video later also. So olabs.edu.in is the portal which has OLABs and training programs and performance issues, and all the details are there. We have a Facebook page for online OLABs specifically. So we'll announce training programs and other information. You can also like it and ask questions, give your comments. And this is the support email addresses that you can write to for any questions or clarifications. So as I mentioned earlier, right in the early versions of the project in 2013, we had actually approached the CBSE, and the CBSE was very happy to take it up. And this is the letter from Dr. Vineet Joshi, who was the chairman CBSE at that time. So it very clearly says that CBSE recommends OLABs to all the schools affiliated to the board. Okay, so that was the beginning of a long relationship, and now I think we have been working very closely for a long time. So once the second phase, that is the full set of labs, became available, we again approached the CBSE. So they have issued circulars after the due evaluation that this can be adopted. And then Kendriya Vidyalaya and Navodaya Vidyalaya also has issued separate circulars that this is available resource and the training programs can be made use of. This is our Honorable Minister launching the rollout program in 2015. And so I'm just going to go take a few minutes, just give you one slide about each of the subjects under OLABs before we move into maths in some detail. So this is the OLABs homepage. This is a screenshot. I will show you the live one in a few minutes. And yeah, so on the homepage, you can actually see that there are these separate tabs for physics, chemistry, biology, maths, and English. You click on them, you will actually get the list of all the labs under that category. There is the workshop and training information is available here. So if you want to join a new training program, that's a place you want to do. And this little flag here is the language switcher. So if you click the flag, you will get a list of languages supported, and you can choose whichever language, and the entire page actually gets translated to that particular language. And so the physics, you can see that actually physics, chemistry, biology, we have tried to maintain the look and feel of a real lab so that the familiarity with the lab environment becomes stronger when a student approaches the physical lab. So you can see that whether the meters, the instruments, and all of them actually look pretty much what happens in the lab environment. And here you can see the control that the user has. So for example, the resistors can be single resistors or multiple resistors, and you can do it in parallel or series. And the jockey position can be changed here, and so on. Okay, so there are enough controls are provided. So basically, the experiment has to be performed by the student. Okay, it's not watching a video. So there are a lot of options which the student can play in any order that he wants. So this is a typical chemistry lab activity. So this is, I think, the burning of magnesium. So there is a magnesium strip that you pick, use the Bunsen burner, and show it on the flame. It will burn, and you see the spectacular view. And the magnesium oxide that is formed can then be picked up with this spoon and put into this litmus paper to check the acidity and those natures. And you can choose the different reactions also from here. So again, you can see that it's pretty much similar to what you would expect in a lab. Biology, of course, is not really that much of a, there are not too many instruments to look at in lab. So there are many of them are simulation tools. So this is plant and animal tissues. Okay, so there is a microscope provided. Again, you can see that the microscope is looking quite similar to the real microscope that you see in the lab. So this is a maths lab. I think we'll come to that. So the typical view of a maths lab is this. I'll tell you more about it in a few minutes. We also have, as I mentioned, there is the English lab also, which I think many of you might find useful. So English lab, obviously, there is no experiment to conduct or an activity to perform per se. So what we have done is basically standard, language construct problems have been visualized as an activity. So for example, this is a tense conversion lab. So you can choose one of about 10 or 15 tenses are here. So you can click on it and choose which is the source tense that you want and which is the target tense that you want. And immediately the system generates a sentence in the source tense form. So in this case, you have chosen simple present tense, so you get a simple present tense sentence. If you change this to, let's say, simple past or past perfect or past continuous or something, you will get it accordingly. Okay. Now you are supposed to show the future perfect tense form of this in here. But to simplify things, most of the words which are not part of, they're not likely to change, like Sarah, a ball. So these are preloaded into the appropriate position, and you only have to worry about getting the right structure for the verb. So whether it is has been caught or has caught or will have caught or will caught or whatever, you should actually pick up the right thing from here and insert it there. And once you insert something and submit, the system gives you very specific feedback. So for example, in this case, when it's submitted, it says the main verb is correct because you have said caught here, but the helping verb is missing. So you know where to look at, and then you can fix the problem and resubmit it till you get it correct. So as I said, these are available in multiple languages. There are also attempts to make it available in Telugu, Kannada also. So some of these also will become available in course of time. So the look of the lab in the regional language. You can access it from tablets and other mobile devices. We do not recommend those small mobile that you use for making calls and all that, because the space may not be enough for you to actually perform the activity, because you will have to move a slider, you will have to go and click different buttons and things like that. That may be difficult. But a larger footprint device can certainly be used to conduct the activity experiment. So I mentioned that we have the usage is quite significant. So this is the zone-wise distribution of the training that we have conducted. So you can see that almost all areas we have comfortably conducted, including the Northeast. And this is a very recent screenshot. So if we are almost getting something like 1,000 odd people at that particular point in time, and this is some statistics related to that. I'm not elaborating it there. So you can see that in the August-September period, the usage levels have been going up quite a lot because of this awareness programs and things like that. Okay, so it's I mean, they're typically anything from 20,000 to 40,000 users per day is visiting the portal quite consistently. Okay, so now we come to the maths activities. I mentioned that maths is basically classes 9 and 10. In class 10, these activities are available: volume of a sphere, surface area of a sphere, volume of right circular cylinder, and so most of these are geometric constructs, because that's what we have chosen for maths lab now. And in class 9 also, we have a bunch of activities: the midpoint theorem, the area of triangle, and these things. So many of them, we through a construction activity, we are able to demonstrate to you how these things are done. We also have things like solving of simultaneous equations, those kind of labs also. And we are in the process of still trying to add more labs to the pool. So the maths lab has a little different structure, because it is not, as I said, it's not a typical science lab kind of activity. So every maths lab, the opening page will tell you about what the objective of the lab is, some critical definitions. For example, if you want to know the quadrilateral formed by the midpoints of a quadrilateral, what is its characteristic, you must know the definition of a parallelogram and things like that. There is also a box about the prerequisite knowledge. It will tell you what information you are supposed to know before you start the lab activity. Because if you don't have the prerequisite knowledge, you will find it difficult to relate to the concept. And once you enter the lab, this is the structure that you will find, because the outer structure I mentioned earlier still remains: the theory, procedure, simulator, and self-evaluation and all that. But in the simulator, there are now very clearly defined windows. there are these red boxes, identify them. So this area here, which is marked here, this is the workbench. Okay, so the student is going to do all the activities in this space. Okay, and on this top left corner, there will be running instructions. As and when you perform an activity, the instructions are updated, so you know what you are supposed to do at every point to take the lab further. And you also have the observations window below. So it will, sometimes it just tells you what you did, like a line PQ is drawn. Sometimes it will tell you what is the conclusion, that, you know, because PQ and they intersect and therefore this is this, or this angle is this, so therefore it is a triangle or whatever. So those conclusion part of the lab is also shown in the observation area. And this little box here is the tools area. So if you want to know what is the length of a particular segment, you can enable these tools, and a scale will come up, and you can actually measure the length as to this 4.1 centimeter or whatever. Okay, so this is the structure that you're going to see in our labs, that in the demonstration. Okay, so yeah, so we have many of the labs are in 2D. There are also a few labs which use a 3D representation, because that is we felt that was more appropriate for some of the labs. And it facilitates drawing geometric figures on the workbench with your own chosen dimensions. We have a show scale, you have a cut triangle, rotate clockwise or anti-clockwise. So these things you don't have to do manually. There are tools available. So you click a button, you can actually see that rotating and coming to the target position. Drag and drop and superimpose. These are tools which are built into the lab. And this will be activated depending on the lab that is being performed. Okay, so there are instructions provided on each step to perform, because here the instructions are not as much important as the conclusion or what is the observation. So that's why even in the student simulation area, instructions are provided without even having to ask for it. Okay, and there is detailed inference and conclusion is also given after the completion of each lab. Okay, so I'm going to switch for the time being, and I'll walk you through one lab, and then you know, I will ask my colleague Suman to do a few more labs in maths, so you get a feel of what overall it is. Okay, so then I'll come back to this slide. Okay. So meanwhile, are there any questions that you want to ask?
Sir, could you please show me the address again? The web address, or labs address, and Facebook address. Could you please show me?
I will do it at the end. I will go back to the same slide and keep it so you can see.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, so.
Explain the registration process.
Sorry?
Could you explain the registration process?
Yes, ma'am. We will tell you during demonstration.
Yeah, we will show you. We'll show you that. Okay, are you able to see this online labs interface? My browser, is that visible? Yes,
yes, sir.
Okay. So I have actually gone to one of these labs called the centroid of a triangle. So you can see the points that I mentioned earlier. That let me now put the video on just to so that you can actually see what I'm gesturing also. Okay, so. So as I mentioned earlier, you can see the theory tab, procedure tab, animation, simulation, self-evaluation, reference, and there's also a feedback tab. Okay, on the top you can see that workshop, training. So in the training, you can see training calendar and all that. I think Suman will walk you through these things in more detail. Let me just focus on the lab. Okay, so.
Sir, I think there is some problem. We are not able to see that one. Just
we can see your browser, sir. Only some symbols I can video like that we could see.
Okay, let me just unshare and share again. might help. Let me see. Otherwise, we'll have to see.
Sir, we could see only the icon.
To see the video.
Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, that may be because Google has this two different views. But then, okay. Okay, let me anyway put off the video so that my face doesn't distract you. Yeah, I'm going to reshare the screen. Is that now visible? What are you able to see on the screen?
No, sir.
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
I think, sir, the same thing, sir.
Same thing.
Screen is not visible.
Yeah, okay. Let me. Why does that happen?
Sir, if you share the windows, the whole current screen.
Mom,
think
let me. Yeah, let me open a different PowerPoint and see if I can. I mean, not PowerPoint. What is that? Web browser. Give me a minute more. I think I should be there. Open a new window. Okay. Okay, now let me see what happens if I share this. Now, is it visible?
No, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Sir.
Yeah.
It's visible.
Okay, okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now
Yes, sir.
I opened
Yes,
the
sir.
browser
Yes,
only
sir.
for this. Okay.
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, great. Okay, so I'm going to go to the Maths Lab. That's what I had done earlier. So let me take this centroid of a triangle. So you click on it. Okay, so this window comes up, and I told you that theory, procedure, animation, simulator. Okay, so I'm going to go to the simulator directly. Okay, to just show you the different components. So I mentioned that there is an objective. So you can see the objective of this activity is to illustrate that the medians of a triangle concur at a point, and that will be called the centroid, and it always lies inside the triangle. Okay, so you want to try creating different triangles and see whether they are outside or they always come inside and so on. Okay, so they're more like trying out different combinations and say, yes, all my triangles, it comes inside the triangle itself. So I click start, and this is the interface I talked about. So on the top left, you have the instructions. There are tools here, as it will get filled up as required. And this is the work area. Okay, so I'm just going to keep it to that. So you can see on the left, it says, select 3 points A, B, and C anywhere on the workbench to draw a triangle. So I can choose any kind of triangle I want. So I'm going to pick some random positions. Okay, so that's a triangle that I have got. Okay, now if you want to know how long the sides of this triangle are, you can go and put a scale, and you can see that this side is about 9.5 centimeter, right? And AC is about 12.8 centimeter, and so on. Okay, and the system has also come up with this observation below, saying it's an acute angle triangle, because it figured out by looking at the side the side values that it must be an acute angle triangle. Okay, so this is an observation.
Sir, sorry for the interruption.
sorry for
Sir, are you showing those things,
not
sir?
showing
We
those.
could see only that slide for the centroid of the triangle.
Centroid of a triangle, only
We are not
that
able
can
to
be
see.
seen, sir.
We couldn't see that.
You cannot see the triangle.
Sir,
We
it's
can't
hand up,
see.
I think. Only the centroid of a triangle we can see. Objective,
definition, this page we can see. But the
Oh,
procedure we are
okay.
not able to see, sir.
Illustration is not clear, sir.
Oh my God.
First page is frozen actually.
That is. I
So
don't
maybe
know
you
why.
can try sharing your complete screen.
This thing, no?
Desktop, yeah.
Let me try. Oh, this is a bit of a pain. Okay, let me share the screen instead now. Let's see if it is. That's going to help. Enter screen. Is that better? I think you should be still seeing the center of a triangle. Now, can you see the workbench?
Yes, sir.
Now
Yes, sir. Now we can see.
Okay. So much of experimenting you have to do. Okay. So it said select the 3 points A, B, and C anywhere on the workbench to draw a triangle, right? So we are not putting any restrictions. You can click anywhere you want. You can make as crooked a triangle as you want or as beautiful a triangle as you want, right? So I'm going to pick some random points. Okay. So maybe something like this. Okay. So I've clicked the 3 points A, B, and C. Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, so now on the left, the toolbar has come up. Okay, there are scales available. So you can actually now, if you click show scale AB, a scale comes up on the AB side. Okay, you can now measure the distance and it will say about 15.6 centimeter. Okay, and then you can maybe disable it, look at the BC. So you can actually validate the things. You can check whether it's a right angle and all that things you can do if you want to do. What is also nice is that after I have drawn this triangle, some random points below in the observations area, it has come up with an observation saying it's an obtuse angle triangle. Okay, so it has figured out that it's an obtuse angle triangle by looking at the values of the sides. Okay, now once I have finished ABC drawing the triangle, now you see the instruction has been updated. It now says mark the midpoint of each side by clicking on the center. So it is not like somewhere you have to click to get to the midpoint. You have to click somewhere near the center. So if I click here, it will not actually show me the midpoint. Somewhere that icon, the mouse will change to a hand that I can click. So you don't have to click exactly at the midpoint, but you can now click some random place and expect the midpoint to come. Okay, so that's how it is being done. So similarly, I'm going to click here. So that is P, and I'm going to click here. So that Q. So P, Q, R, these has been done. Now again, you can put the scale and check whether it is actually the midpoint, right? So 15.6. So it should be about a little less than 8, right? 8 will be
7.8.
Right, 7.8. So you can see that it's actually there. Okay, so the midpoint is actually midpoint. No cheating here, right? And it now says click on the point P, Q, and R to draw the respective medians. So I just go and click on P. It will draw a median through the angle C, right? And I'll draw one for R also. I'll draw one for Q also. So the observation now says we will observe that the 3 medians of the triangle concur at point G. Okay, so they do meet. That is the first point that we wanted to show. And they meet inside the triangle. So for this triangle, we know that what we claimed was true, right? So now, if you have doubts, you can go and restart it, but maybe with a different triangle. So what if I take a particularly very lean triangle? Okay, so something that is it's only something like this. Okay, I think it says some minimum distance you should do, otherwise it won't be able to draw the line. Okay, so I did something like this. Will it still lie inside? So you can go and click again. Okay, I'll do only this more demo, and then I'm going to close it here. Okay, so that is done. What is the midpoint of this guy? Let me see. AB is what 70, so maybe around 7. For some, okay, got it. Okay, so now all of these are done. Now I'm going to join them. I think my laptop mouse is creating a bit of a problem in terms of clicking the. Okay, so anyway, so my mouse is giving some problem. So you can see that the two main culprit lines are actually meeting inside. So this obviously will meet inside. It's obvious, right? So you can try with the different triangles, different combinations, and see that they are actually true. This is the mode that we have actually taken for the maths lab. Okay, so I'm going to leave to Suman to show you a few more labs, and then maybe meanwhile, if you have any questions, if you post on the chat window, I will answer them. Suman, over to you.
Yes, thank you, sir. So I'm also just now sharing my screen. So as by doing activity in maths, a student can experience actually the maths. So same thing as we are doing in the science, the student are doing the activities and they are learning the concept. So same way we are providing activities area here in the maths so that they can perform the activity. So actually our teachers are doing this activity in the classroom by paper cutting and model making method. So same we have, as you have seen, sir has just shown you one activity that you can do that activity by paper cutting, paper folding, or drawing any geometrical object. So same thing we have provided. So I think this website is visible to all of you.
Yes,
ma'am.
Okay. So this is actually the website you have seen already. So we will take different activities in the maths for class 9th and 10th. So I will take another example. As sir is shown you the centroid for a triangle. We'll take another example here. So from class 9th itself, we will see next example, that is quadrilateral formed by midpoint of a quadrilateral. So here we can see how we can cut any object and see the results. So as you have already seen, there is a theory, procedure, animation, simulator, self-evaluation, reference, and feedback. So now I have not registered on this website. I am using as a simple user. I have just browsed this portal olabs.edu.in, and simply as a user I am able to access all the activity. So for using the OLABS, there is no need for any formal registration. But for some activity, they will ask you for register because we need to take account how many people are using it. So there you can use your already existing Gmail IDs. So from that Gmail ID, you can register, you can use all the activity in OLABS. But here in this maths activity, as you can see, there is no registration is required. I have logged in as a simple user. So basically, I have simply browsed this olabs.edu.in. I selected math subject, and then I have selected this particular activity. So you can see in this activity, as sir mentioned, there are different tabs, and basically this is a complete framework, a place where you can see all the related material with that activity. So the theory is there, procedure is there, animation basically is the picturization, how we are doing that activity in the simulation environment. At some places you can find how if it is any experiment that we are doing in the lab. So basically in that animation you can find how we are doing that experiment in the physical lab. So this animation is picturization of that activity that we are doing in the physical lab. So here this animation, as in mathematics, that no things are like that we are doing in the physical lab. So directly what we are doing in the simulator, that is shown in the animation. So basically this animation is also act as a help or instruction reference for you. So now we will directly go to the simulator. And also before going to the simulator, I will just mention the procedure. As sir mentioned, we are not going to distract the student from the physical lab. We have also mentioned the procedure in all the activity in the science, in the mathematics, how we can do that activity and experiment in the classroom. So here also we have mentioned what all material are required, what is the procedure to conduct this activity in the classroom or at home with the papers and any other material. So for this activity, you can see we need color paper, a pair of scissors, gum, etc. So this is the procedure. Student can also refer this procedure if they want to conduct this, they want to do this activity at their home or in the classroom. So now we will directly move to the simulator and we'll see how we can do this activity in the simulator. So the activity is, you can see before starting with this simulator, you can see this activity is quadrilateral formed by the midpoint of quadrilateral. So this is the objective, definition and prerequisite knowledge required for this experiment. Now I just click on start. So simply this is the benchmark area as you have seen in the previous activities also, and this is the instruction area. So what we are doing, simply we are dragging, dropping, simply clicking to draw any object. So the instructions are written in this instruction area. So first instruction is form a quadrilateral ABCD by clicking on any 4 point in the benchmark. So we need to select any 4 point in the benchmark area to draw a quadrilateral. So I'm just selecting 4 points here. So now you can see this quadrilateral is drawn. And now in tools, as next step is to find out midpoint of each side of quadrilateral. So we need to find out the midpoint, and to find out the midpoint we may need this scale. So we can select this scale, and according to this we can mark the midpoint. Now if we don't need this scale, we can disable it. Again, for this line also, if you want scale, you can use the scale. Otherwise, maybe by random selection, appropriate selection, you can just mark the midpoint. So I have marked the midpoint here. Next is midpoint of all sides of quadrilateral ABCD are marked. So we have marked this. Click on the midpoint of consecutive side to join them and form a quadrilateral PQRS inside the quadrilateral ABCD. So this is the quadrilateral ABCD and this is PQRS. So simply we have to click on both the point to join this. So I have clicked on P and next Q and clicked on Q, clicked on R and now clicked on S to join this, S to P. So we have made this again inside quadrilateral, that is PQRS. Now next step is click on quadrilateral. This is another quadrilateral. We have to click this to separate it out. So this is separate. I have just clicked on this quadrilateral. It is separated. Now you can see this is separated. Next step is to join point P and R. So I have to click on P, click on point R to join this. This is joined. Now click triangle PQR and PRS to fill them in distinct colors. So I just clicked it. Now you can see there is an option to cut this triangle. So basically I have to cut this triangle, this quadrilateral into 2 parts. So I'm just cutting it. It is done. It is cut. This dotted line is showing that it is cut into 2 parts. Now we have what next step is PQRL is draggable. Now this is draggable. So what we need to do, we need to drag, rotate clockwise, anti-clockwise, and we have to put it into this triangle. So now we are doing this, we are using this anti-clockwise option. So you can see according to the activity, whatever tools, equipments or methods we need to perform, that is available in your benchmark area. So here I need to just is rotating it to anti-clockwise. I am rotating it to anti-clockwise. So every time you need to just click on anti-clockwise. Suppose I have to rotate it clockwise, click on clockwise. So I am just rotating it anti-clockwise. So you can see it is rotating, but every time I have to click. So how much I need to rotate it, that we can find out. So now I think it is appropriate and we can just drag it to this position. So this activity is completed successfully. Please see the inferences. So this activity is completed, and by the inferences we can see what is this activity. So PQR covers PRS exactly. So this is completely covered by this triangle, and thus SP equal to QR and RS equal to PQ therefore. So this is a quadrilateral. PQRS is by definition is parallelogram. So basically it is a theorem. We need to prove this theorem by doing a paper cutting, by drawing a quadrilateral and paper cutting method. So we can do in this way. So now we will see in the self-evaluation, there are some questions related to that activity. So basically there are multiple type questions. So student can do this activity, they can read the theory, they can read the procedure, do the activity, and after that they can self-assess themselves for this activity. So there are two questions in these questions are not fixed activity wise. Maybe you can find in some activity there are 5 questions, there are more than 5 questions also. So here this is one question. I'm just randomly selecting the answer for this question. I'm just randomly selecting, and in this you can see after this question you can find out this submit. So once we submit, we can immediately see the results. So I have just clicked on submit, and you can see this is the right selection and this is the wrong. So in this way, by completing the activity, the student can attempt these questions and they can self-assess themselves. And after that, there is a reference tab. In the reference tab, additional reference material is provided for this particular activity. So a student need not to search for this activity anywhere. If they want to refer additional material, they can refer these links. And after that, there is a feedback tab. This feedback tab is basically for the teachers. If teachers found that there is something wrong in this content or some modification needed in this particular activity, they can fill this feedback and they can give their comments. So basically this feedback is for the teachers. So our team is regularly monitoring this feedback, and if we found that this feedback is correct, we need to incorporate that feedback in this activity that we are doing. So basically this is the complete framework, or we can say complete tabs are there for one activity. So now we will see another activity in the maths. We have some 3D activities also. I will demonstrate that also. So if from 9th class we have seen area of circle and we have seen centroid of triangle, so maybe we will move towards one activity in the 10th class. So we will take volume of right circular cylinder. So this is activity in class 10th. So again, for volume of right circular cylinder, all tabs are same. They can, all content are there related to this particular activity. So now we will go to the simulator. So again, the starting of that activity, again, there is a definition, objective of this activity. So student can refer this, and after that they can start the activity. So now here, a little bit difference is there in this activity. As you can see, for this volume of right circular cylinder, we need to put the values. So basically we need to give a radius and height for the right circular cylinder. So that we will do. So first of all, you can see just what is there in the instruction. Create right circular cylinder by providing radius for the base and height for the cylinder. So we need to draw a cylinder. So we need to give some values. So just I am selecting the radius 10. So radius is 10, and now height also we can choose. So there are variation we can draw according to that. And also there is some minimum maximum value written here. So you can see this is the minimum maximum value for this cylinder. So now I have selected the values. Next instruction is click on button draw cylinder to draw the cylinder. So I'm just clicking on draw cylinder. So just I have clicked. Now you can see the cylinder is drawn. Next instruction is click on the cylinder to mark 8 sectorial part on it. So I'm just marked it 8. It is divided into 8 sectorial part. Now I have to just click on each sectorial part to color them differently. So basically this activity in the classroom they are doing with the clay or thermocol. They are making this model and using color they are coloring the sectorial part into different colors. So in OLAPS environment they are just dragging and dropping and doing the activity. So now click on cylinder to cut apart into 8 sectorial parts. So I just click on the cylinder. Now it is divided into 8 sectorial parts. Now I have to click on each sectorial part to arrange them sequentially from left. So I'm just clicking one by one each part, and it is arranging it. So it is done. So now this activity is completed. Please see the inferences below. So you can see these are the inferences. The sectorial part joined to form a solid cuboid of height h, breadth r, and length pi r. So this you can see, and you can visualize this. This is a 3D activity. So by dragging and dropping, you just visualize this. So this is very helpful for the student for the visualization of different maths activity. So this is a 3D view of this activity. So if you want to restart and repeat this activity for another set of values, you can restart it. So now we will see another activity. So there are very simple way to perform this activity in the OLAPS. All the instructions are written there itself to help the student. And the visualization is very much important for the geometrical figures. So they can visualize this here. So here you can see in the right, this is one activity for right circular cone. So for this right circular cone, again theory, procedure, and animation is there. So directly we will see the simulator. So again the same. So you can see we have maintained the same look and feel for the all activity. And also if you see the science experiment, all tabs, look and feel of the activities are same. So now we will see this right circular cone. So again for this we need to give some inputs. So you can see create a circle by providing the radius. So I'm just giving a radius 35 and click on the draw circle. So I'm just clicking on draw circle, that is button there below the benchmark. So you can see this circle is drawn. Now click on the circle to mark the sector. So basically I have to click on the circle to mark it into the sector. So this is one sector I have marked, that is AOB. Now click on sector AOB to take out from the circle. So I just clicked, now it is take out from the circle. Click on this sector to fold. I have just clicked on this and it is folding and making, from that part it is making the cone. So basically from the circle, we have separate out the one sector, and now it is just making the cone from that. So now you can see this activity is completed, and you have see the inferences here. When the radii A or OB of the sector are joined, cone is formed. So this is the cone, and you can visualize this. You can just see bottom of this, so that you can visualize the radius for this cone, and you can see the height. So it is a simple activity. The student might be doing this activity by paper. Here the visualization is there, so they can visualize this, they can draw and do the activity. So this is one activity again in the maths we have shown, that is write circular cone. So again we will see what are different activities here. So there is another activity like surface area of sphere. So in this activity we need the thread to see the volume of that sphere and compare the volume of sphere and the volume of the cylinder. So basically here we have put the thread. You can use the thread to cover up and compare the length. So according to the activity, we have put the necessary things that is required to complete the activity. Here the volume of right circular cone. So basically in this we need to compare the volume. So we in this activity we need the sand to fill the cone and fill the cylinder. So here we have provided the sand material, so you can with the sand material you can do the activity. So basically you can see these are the different activities, and according to that we have provided appropriate tools and equipments to do the activity. So one more activity, area of circle, this we just see and we'll complete this demonstration. So again in this area of circle, you can see same things are there. We will directly go to the simulator. These activities are very simple to perform in OLAPS environment because every time the instructions are there to help you. And also if you are doing any wrong, it will not allow you to do the wrong thing. So in this area of circle, click on the scale. We need to draw a circle. So basically we need to select the radius. So it is given that between 2 to 3, you just select the radius. So I'm just selecting. So I have just select 1 point. So it is radius 2.38 centimeter and this circle is drawn. Now we will divide this circle into 16 equal parts. So I will just click it. It is divided. Now move the mouse to depart this part. So these are the 16 parts. Now click on next button. So basically this activity is to divide the circle into 16 parts and color them 8 parts same color, and we have to separate it out. So now we have separated out. We have made group of 2 wedges. So basically we have divided it into 2 colors. Now click on blue part to rotate and align. So basically we have to click on this. It is align. Now we have to drag it and fit it into this place. Next set. So I'm just dragging it and placing it to proper place. Now click on leftmost wedge. So I'm just clicking on it. It is done. Drag the red part and attach it to right end. So I'm just dragging it and attaching it with this part. So now you can see this activity is completed, and we can see area formed by rectangle is equal to area of given circle. So this was the activity, and we have completed this activity by using these steps. So this is about the demonstration. So we have seen 2 to 3 activities with different variation in mathematics. And apart from this, as you said, there is a login is required. So you can see this login button is there. If you have registered, you can register with OLAPS website also, but that is not mandatory to use this OLAPS. You can directly go to the portal olaps.edu.in and start accessing the activity. For some activity in science, they will ask for login. So that time you can use your Gmail login account to log in into the OLAPs and you can use the OLAPs. There is a facility for the bulk registration, as one of the teacher is asking for the student registration. So as such, student can also directly go and use this OLAPs by their Google ID. But sometimes the student are not fit into the age group. They are not having their separate login ID for Gmail account. So maybe if they want to register with us for this, using this OLAPs, they can also do the bulk registration. So for that registration, you can see there is a registration for teachers, registration for schools, and registration for student. So you can use this and you can provide the data for the bulk registration for the to the OLAPs. So this is for registration. And as sir is mentioning about the flag, so you can see in the website also there is a small flag. So by basically with this flag, you can change the language. You can change the language and you can see the content into the different languages. So I will just move to the home and I will change the language to Hindi. So once I change this language to Hindi, you can see the content are now changed to Hindi. So suppose I want to see the maths lab in the Hindi. So I will go to the Ganit, that is Hindi for maths. And now we can see the content in Hindi. So this is the Hindi content. So this is all about the OLAPs, and we have seen the activities for the mathematics in the OLAPs, how we can perform different activity in the OLAPs environment. So if you have any query related to this, you can ask us.
And, I think somebody is, Smita More has actually posed this question that, how to use the lab for, I think, online test. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
No, I think Smita More.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Can you just tell what is it that you have in mind, or what were you looking for? I mean, there are people have been using. I mean, I also mentioned about doing some kind of evaluation in the class by showing a particular situation in the lab and asking the student to guess it, and asking questions at a class level. You can also ask the student to perform the activity and come. But did you have anything else in mind? Yeah, so because online test, of course, the reason I'm a little cautious about answering is because if you want to conduct an online test, then you have to do proctoring and checking whether they are doing it properly without other help and all that. So that, of course, is not part of OLAPs umbrella. I mean, that's something that we are working on, but at some point in time we can talk about that. But you can create some amount of activity based on this. For example, you can ask the student to create, let's say, 3 different triangles and find out the distance of the centroid from a particular vertex. Let's say make an ABC triangle and ask them to report the dimensions of the 3 sides and also the distance of the centroid from that. All of that he can measure online. So that kind of activities can be done where you can verify whether it is done also, because you can guess where how much the distance will be. So there are ways you can actually create take home activities for the student to perform and then come back either for discussion or otherwise.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? I mean, I think most of the questions on the chat I have answered. I think if anybody has any questions which I have not answered, please let us know so we can close that, and then we can wind up the session.
So
I think the general feedback has been very good. I think most of you have liked it, and that is nice. Yes, I think many of you have asked whether 11 and 12 labs are available, for 4 and 8, 4 to 8 labs are available. we feel very bad that we are not able to extend it from beyond. But as I mentioned, building these labs is a very expensive process. It takes about 1 to 2 months to build a lab because there is a lot of programming and development that is involved. So we are keen that we should do more. So some through students, and we are actually approaching the ministry and also MHRD to support extending this lab framework at least from 4 to 12 all subjects. Because while maths and science are easy to visualize in terms of lab activities, a lot of people are concerned. Things like social studies and history are all relatively dry subjects that way. So of course some wonderful teachers can make them also interesting, but many people find them dry. So it'll be nice to build activities there also, like a timeline and things like that, which can be introduced. So I also want to mention that we have been doing a lot of teacher training for moving teachers into online form. So we introduce a lot of tools to create content or to build content in for your own classes or students. So whether it is mind mapping tools or video editing or video transporting tools, animation tools and things like that. So that there also we introduce many tools. So a lot of things are available in public domain, open source, that you can download and use. But if you want to, under the lab umbrella, a comprehensive system like this, we want to build more. So that is something that we are still pursuing. Hopefully, not too long later, you will be able to see a lot more labs under the labs umbrella. Okay, so I think thank you. I don't know if Dr. Saha is still there or anybody from CBSE is there.
For further queries, they can contact us on our email ID that we have mentioned here, etu@cdac.in. In the chat box, we have mentioned. And if you want to attend more session, maybe for other teacher, if your colleague want to join, we are regularly conducting online session for the teachers. So just we have mentioned the registration for that also.
Yeah, so to wrap up, we're happy to bring you this platform to add value. And as everybody has asked, we are also trying to work on to get more labs into the pool. And you keep sharing your feedback if you have been using it. If there are some innovative ways in which you are using the lab, let us know. It will be good. We would like to share those success stories with others. And with those who have not been using it, please do consider using them and inform your students accordingly. So thank you, and have a great rest of the day. And as is typical at this time, stay safe and take all the precautions till we get out of this situations.
Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Thank you,
so I
sir.
think we can break. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, okay. CBSE, you are there. I thought you are not there. So we will close it now, right?
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Okay.